You ever wake up and feel like life is just dull? Like you're dragging through the day, chasing something you can't even name. You smile when you're supposed to. You nod like you're present. But deep down, you're running on empty. You're not broken, but you're not whole either. And here's the hard truth. Most people don't burn out in one explosion. They burn out quietly, silently, and they don't even see it coming. That is, until everything feels meaningless. But what if I told you it doesn't take a major transformation to change that? What if the fix was smaller than you think? Tiny, even. This is where most people get it wrong. They think they need a complete reset. A vacation, a new job, a new city, a new relationship. But that's just running from the mess. What you need are tiny fixes. Small intentional shifts that breathe life back into your tired bones and restore your inner fire. Because when your habits shift, your energy changes. Your mindset shifts, your results follow. You don't need to overhaul your life. You need to understand how power is built, in quiet, consistent ways. First, let's talk about your morning. I'm not here to tell you to wake up at 4 a.m. and run a marathon. I'm here to tell you to reclaim your first hour. That first hour is sacred. What you do with it sets the tone for everything else. You grab your phone the second you open your eyes. You're letting the world punch through your mental front door before you've even had a chance to guard it. You want strength. Start your day with intention, not interruption. Protect your mind before the world gets its hands on it. Then comes movement. And again, I'm not asking you to become a gym rat. I'm talking about blood flow. A walk, a stretch, something to remind your body that you're alive. Your body holds energy like a battery. Stagnant, stiff, and neglected, it drains faster than you realize. A tired life often isn't about doing too much. It's about being too still, too long. Move your body, and you'll feel your power return in ways your mind had forgotten. You ever notice how the first thing you do in the morning becomes the script for your entire day? Most people open their eyes and reach for their phones before they even take a breath. Emails, texts, notifications, and just like that, their brain is no longer theirs. They've handed it over to the world before they've even had a chance to own it. That's not harmless. That's dangerous, because your first hour is your foundation. If the first thing you allow in is noise, you're building your day on chaos. You want more control in your life? Then stop giving it away the second you wake up. When you wake up with yourself, not for someone else's drama or demands. Sit still. Breathe. Drink water. Move. Read. Anything that builds you, not drains you. That first hour is where your mental armor is built. It's your front line, and if you keep starting your day on defense, don't be surprised when you end it feeling defeated. You want to feel powerful again. Then stop letting the world invade your peace before you've even gotten out of bed. That's not strength. That's surrender. And you deserve better than that. Most people don't realize how much their body is begging them to move. Not because you need to lose weight, not because of some fitness trend. Because motion is life. You think you're tired because you're overworked, whelmed, or burnt out. And yes, maybe that's part of it. But often you're tired because you're stuck. You're sitting in the same chair, breathing the same stale air, scrolling through the same noise, and your body has become a prison instead of a weapon. That's not exhaustion. It's stagnation. Your blood isn't pumping. Your lungs aren't expanding. Your muscles are asleep. And when your body goes numb, your spirit follows. You don't need a gym membership to come back to life. You need to stand up, stretch, walk, breathe with purpose. Reconnect with the physical part of you that's been ignored. Even 10 minutes of movement tells your mind I am not defeated. I am still here. I am still in control. That's how you start building strength, not by forcing your body to break, but by giving it permission to rise. Because a body that moves reminds the brain that it still has fight left in it. You don't even realize what you're feeding your brain every single day. And I'm not talking about food. I'm talking about noise, information, people's opinions, content that looks harmless but eats away at your confidence piece by piece. You wake up and start scrolling, thinking you're just passing time, but what you're really doing is poisoning your focus. You're letting the highlight reels of other people's lives convince you that yours isn't enough. You're soaking in comparison. You're swallowing distraction. And the worst part, you're calling it normal. You wouldn't let a stranger dump garbage in your living room. So why are you letting the internet dump garbage in your mind? You want clarity. You want energy. Then you need to protect what you consume like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your peace, your power, your identity. Those things are shaped by what you allow in. You have to become the guardian of your mental space. Curate your content. Filter your sources. Be ruthless about who and what gets access to your attention. Because whatever owns your attention, owns you. People love to talk about gratitude like it's some soft, sweet emotion. But let me tell you, gratitude is one of the toughest disciplines you'll ever build. Because when life is punching you in the face, when things aren't going your way, when you're tired and overwhelmed, the last thing your brain wants to do is look for the good. But that's exactly when you need it most. Your mind is wired to spot danger, to detect flaws, to stay on guard, and if you don't train it to see what's right, it will only ever see what's wrong. That's not being realistic. That's being reactive, and reactive people get ruled by their emotions. You want power, you want resilience, then you force your mind, yes, force it, to acknowledge what's still standing, what's still working, what hasn't fallen apart. Not because you're naive, but because you're strong enough to anchor yourself in truth, even when chaos hits. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Say it even when you don't feel it. That's how you change your state. That's how you keep your mind sharp and your spirit steady. Gratitude isn't weakness. It's mental discipline in its purest form. You ever wonder why you're so tired all the time? Even when you haven't done anything physically exhausting. It's not your body that's drained. It's your mind. You're not exhausted from doing too much. You're exhausted from doing too much of the wrong things, from pouring energy into 100 directions without stopping to ask, why am I even doing this? You're putting out fires that don't belong to you, answering calls that don't serve you, solving problems that were never yours to fix. And you've convinced yourself this is normal, that this is just what being a responsible adult looks like. But deep down, you know better. You feel it. That quiet, growing resentment. That subtle burnout. That voice inside that whispers, this isn't working. And yet, you keep going, because slowing down feels selfish. Saying no feels wrong. But here's the truth you need to face, Seek. Doing everything isn't strength. It's avoidance. And it's killing your clarity. When you wake up in the morning and your mind is already spinning with a do list that doesn't even feel like yours, that's not power. That's surrender. You're letting the day decide who you are. You're reacting instead of leading. You want to feel alive again. Then you need to take your power back. That starts with getting brutally clear about what actually matters. Not to the world, not to your boss, not to your friends, to you. Ask yourself, what is non-negotiable for me today? And I don't mean 100 things, I mean 2, maybe 3. Because the truth is, if everything matters, nothing does. And if you don't decide your priorities, someone else will. Most people avoid this kind of clarity because clarity demands responsibility. When you know what matters, you have no more excuses to waste time. You can't hide behind being busy. You can't numb yourself with distractions. You have to look your life in the eye and say, I choose this. And that's terrifying for some people. Because choice means ownership. But choice also means freedom. You are not powerless. You are not trapped. You are simply untrained in the art of decision. And that's what purpose gives you. The discipline to choose on purpose instead of by default. Look around. Most of the world is exhausted from living by default. They don't know why they're doing what they're doing. They're just doing it because they think they have to. Because they're afraid to disappoint. Because it's easier to say yes than to risk someone's judgment. But what's the cost of that? A little comfort in the moment, traded for a lifetime of fatigue. People think clarity is a luxury. It's not. It's survival. You cannot thrive in chaos. You cannot lead in confusion. And you sure as hell can't build a powerful life when your time, energy, and focus are scattered in 1,000 directions that don't align with your core. If you want to live with strength, then you need to master the discipline of elimination. Not addition, elimination. That means cutting out what doesn't serve your mission. That means deleting things from your calendar that look productive but drain your soul. That means stepping back from people who constantly need you but never feed you. That means saying no, not out of guilt, but out of clarity, because you finally understand that your time is a weapon, and you refuse to hand it to anyone who doesn't know how to respect it. Let's get something straight. Clarity isn't something you find by accident. It's not going to land in your lap. You create clarity by sitting with the hard questions. Who am I showing up for every day? What am I building with my time? Does this align with the life I say I want? And if the answer is no, then what are you doing about it? You can't keep living in conflict with your own values and expect peace. That internal war will drain you faster than any long workday ever could. And the worst part is, most people don't even realize they're at war with themselves. They just think they're tired. They just think they need more sleep. But what they really need is alignment. Alignment is when your actions match your priorities. Alignment is when you say, "This is who I am," and your day reflects that truth. It's not about perfection. It's about integrity. You want to feel powerful. Then make your life match your values. Stop talking about who you want to be and start organizing your day like someone who already is that person. That's how confidence is built. Not from hype, not from fake motivation, but from the quiet, relentless practice of living in line with what you believe. You know what else clarity does? It gives you permission to stop proving yourself to people who don't even matter. You waste so much energy trying to be impressive instead of being authentic. You say yes to the wrong things because you're afraid someone will misunderstand your silence. But let them. Let people misunderstand your focus. Let them question your discipline. Let them call you cold when you set boundaries. Because what they don't understand is that you're no longer available for chaos. You've outgrown it. You've decided to protect your peace, and that makes some people uncomfortable. Let it. That's not your problem to fix. You need to stop being available to everything and everyone. Your availability is your most undervalued currency. People will pull on your time, your attention, your energy, as long as you let them. And every time you give away a piece of yourself to something that doesn't move you forward, you tell the universe, "I'm okay staying small." But you're not. Not really. You're just scared to let go of being needed. Scared to disappoint. Scared to walk alone for a little while. But that space, that silence, is where your real life begins. That's where clarity lives. Not in the noise, not in the busy. In the quiet decision to prioritize what truly matters. You want to build a better life. Then stop organizing your day around urgency. Start organizing it around purpose. That means you're not reacting to what's screaming the loudest. You're responding to what aligns with your mission. That means meetings don't get your attention just because they're on your calendar. Notifications don't get a response just because your phone lit up. You don't owe everyone instant access to your mind. You are allowed to move with intention, not impulse. But it takes guts. It takes discipline to pause and ask, "Is this the best use of my time?" It takes strength to walk away from the things you're good at because they no longer grow you. It takes courage to admit that just because something is familiar doesn't mean it's right. And that's where most people get stuck. They confuse comfort with clarity, but clarity isn't always comfortable. In fact, it's often the exact opposite. Clarity is what forces you to level up, to cut ties with old identities, to stop living on autopilot. It's not easy, but it is necessary. So the next time you feel like you're drowning in obligations, stop, step back, get quiet. Ask yourself what actually deserves your energy today, not what others expect, not what looks impressive, what truly matters, and then have the discipline to do only that. Not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, but because you care deeply. You care about living a life that reflects your truth. You care about making your time count, and you're no longer willing to trade your peace for the illusion of being productive. You want clarity. Then get serious about your standards, about what you allow, about who you allow. Every yes you give is a no to something else. So make your yeses count. That's how powerful people move. With precision, with purpose, with boundaries that protect their mission. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing alignment over approval. You owe it to yourself to stop wasting time on what doesn't serve your future. That's how you go from tired to focused. From lost to locked in. You don't need a new life. You need new clarity, because when you get clear on what matters, you stop chasing, and you start building. You stop reacting to life, and you start leading it. That's where your strength is. That's where your peace lives. In the discipline of clarity, every single day. You want to know what really breaks people? It's not failure. It's not rejection. It's not the world turning its back on you. What breaks people is the voice in their own head that never lets up. That voice that tells you you're not good enough. That you're too late. That you're not smart enough, attractive enough, strong enough. That voice becomes the soundtrack of your life, and most people don't even question it. They hear it, they believe it, and they live by it. But here's the truth: that voice wasn't born in you. It was built from years of criticism, doubt, comparison, and fear. And the longer you let it go unchecked, the more it becomes your reality. That's not self-awareness. That's self-sabotage. You think your inner critic is keeping you humble, but it's not. It's keeping you small. You're not being tough on yourself. You're being toxic to yourself. There's a difference. And the way you speak to yourself in silence becomes the way you show up in the world. You shrink your presence. You question your decisions. You hesitate to speak up, to stand tall, to take space. Because somewhere deep down, that voice keeps whispering, you don't deserve it. But you do. And until you start challenging that narrative, nothing in your life will shift. You can dress like a leader, act like a warrior, perform like a champion. But if your internal dialogue is laced with self-doubt, it will bleed into everything. You cannot out-hustle a toxic mindset. You cannot build a powerful life on top of a foundation that tells you you're not enough. That voice inside, you control it. And don't tell me you can't. Because every time someone else walks into the room, you adjust your tone for them. You uplift them. You encourage them. You support them. You filter your words to protect their confidence. So don't tell me you can't do it for yourself. You've just never made it a priority. But now it's time. You don't fix your life by fixing the outside first. You fix it by changing the way you talk to yourself when no one else is listening. That's where real power is born. You want to become unshakable. Then you need to start training your inner voice like it's your best ally, not your worst enemy. That means when you mess up, you don't attack yourself. You assess, you learn, you move. That means when doubt creeps in, you don't feed it, you face it. You don't ignore your insecurities, you confront them with truth, with strength, with compassion. Because confidence isn't pretending to have it all together. Confidence is knowing that even when you fall apart, you still have your own back. Every time you hear that old, destructive voice come up, pause. Ask yourself, would I say this to someone I love? If the answer is no, then it has no place in your mind. Period. You want to talk about mental toughness. It starts with choosing your inner words with the same discipline you use in a fight. You don't just let any thought walk in and stay. You filter. You check. You sharpen. You build your voice like you build muscle, through resistance, repetition, and effort. Because the world will already try to tear you down. The critics, the failures, the pressure, it's all out there. But the one place that should be sacred, that should be safe, is inside your own head. You owe yourself that much. You owe yourself the same respect, the same grace, the same loyalty you give to everyone else. Speak to yourself like someone you believe in, like someone you want to see win. Because when you change the tone of your inner voice, you don't just change how you feel. You change how you live. That's not just mindset, that's identity. And once you reclaim that, no one, not even your past, can hold power over you again. You keep saying you're drained. You keep wondering why your energy disappears halfway through the day, why your peace feels like it's always under attack. But have you ever stopped to ask who or what is stealing it? Because energy doesn't just vanish, it's taken. Piece by piece, decision by decision, conversation by conversation. Every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you agree to something out of guilt, every time you put someone else's comfort above your own boundaries, you're not being kind. You're being depleted. You're giving your power away like it's free. And it's not. It's costing you your clarity, your presence, your strength. People think having boundaries means being cold, that standing up for your energy means you don't care. But boundaries are not walls. They're doors with locks. You decide who gets access. And just because someone wants your time doesn't mean they're entitled to it. Just because something is urgent doesn't mean it's important. And just because it's someone else's crisis doesn't mean it has to become your responsibility. If you're constantly rescuing everyone else, you're abandoning yourself. That's not strength. That's self-sacrifice. And eventually it turns into resentment. You were not put on this earth to be everything for everyone. You don't owe the world your exhaustion. What you owe is your best self. But you can't give that if you're always running on empty. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It's strategic. It's knowing that when you're aligned, when you're centered, when you're full, you actually have more to give, but from a place of choice, not obligation. From a place of power, not pressure. Here's what most people won't tell you. Your availability is a privilege. Not everyone deserves access to your time, your thoughts, your emotions. You have to earn that. And if someone gets angry when you set a boundary, it's because they were benefiting from your lack of one. Let them be uncomfortable. You're not responsible for how others react to your clarity. You're only responsible for maintaining it. Start treating your energy like it's gold. Because it is. Stop giving it away in places that leave you empty. Start asking yourself, does this align with my values? Does this drain me or build me? And if the answer isn't clear, then pause. Take a step back. You don't owe anyone a rushed response. You don't owe constant access. You owe yourself discernment. You've got to stop treating burnout like it's normal. It's not a badge of honor. It's a warning sign. A signal that you've been living out of balance for too long. And no one's going to come save you from it. You have to be the one who says enough. Who reclaims their time? Who protects their energy like their life depends on it? Because it does. Because your peace, your focus, your ability to show up strong, all of that starts with how well you manage your boundaries. This isn't about being rigid. It's about being rooted. Rooted in who you are. Rooted in what matters. Rooted in the kind of life you're building. And if that means disappointing a few people along the way, so be it. You weren't born to be liked. You were born to live with power. And power doesn't come from people pleasing. It comes from self-respect, from saying, I matter too, and meaning it. We live in a world that confuses connection with exposure. You think because you have followers, you're supported. You think because you're surrounded by people, you're not alone. But you feel it, don't you? That ache. That emptiness, that subtle disconnection that creeps in even when you're in a room full of noise, because true connection isn't about how many people know your name. It's about how many people actually see you, who you can be raw with, who you can be real with, and most people, they don't have that. They have surface, they have masks, they have a highlight reel of relationships that look full on the outside, but are starving on the inside. You want to feel stronger, clearer, more grounded. Then stop chasing crowds and start building a circle. I'm talking about real, honest, meaningful relationships. The kind that hold you accountable, not just hype you up. The kind that don't flinch when you tell the truth. The kind that remind you who you are when life tries to make you forget. You don't need more people in your life. You need the right ones. Because the wrong ones will drain you, distract you, and slowly shape you into someone you don't recognize. This is why you've got to be intentional with who gets your time. If you're constantly surrounded by people who gossip, complain, settle, don't be shocked when your life starts to reflect that. Energy is contagious. And you've got to ask yourself, is the energy I'm around sharpening me or softening me? Because one will push you to level up. The other will keep you small. You don't owe loyalty to people who don't respect your growth. You don't have to keep shrinking just to keep others comfortable. If someone can't handle your evolution, they were never meant to walk your full journey. And maybe that means walking alone for a while. Maybe that means letting go of relationships you've outgrown. That's not betrayal. That's alignment. Sometimes the loneliest thing you can do is stay in the wrong company. Don't stay loyal to dysfunction just because you're afraid of the silence that follows it. That's silence. That's where you find your power. That's where you reconnect with yourself. That's where real healing begins. But once you've done that, don't stay isolated. Strength isn't isolation. Strength is choosing wisely. You need people in your corner who challenge your blind spots, who don't let you settle, who pull you higher because they live there too. And if you don't have those people yet, go become that person first. Lead with authenticity. build from truth. The right people will recognize that frequency, and they'll meet you there. So stop wasting energy on being liked by everyone. Start focusing on being known by a few. The real ones, the ones who don't just support your success. They support your spirit. That's the kind of connection that fuels you, that keeps you resilient, that reminds you, no matter how hard life gets, you are never truly alone, and that's a different kind of power. One the world can't take from you. Everyone's looking for the big breakthrough, the magic moment, the instant change that will fix their life in one dramatic swoop. But that's not how transformation works. Real change, it doesn't announce itself. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It hides in the details. It's built in the small habits you choose every single day, especially on the days you don't feel like it. You want to know where power is built. It's not in motivation, it's in discipline. And discipline lives in your non-negotiables, the tiny, consistent actions you commit to whether you're in the mood or not. Most people want change, but they only commit to it when it's convenient. They do the thing when it's easy, when it feels good, when life cooperates. But that's not commitment. That's mood management. You don't grow by doing what's comfortable. You grow by doing what's necessary. The people who succeed, the ones who truly evolve, are the ones who make small habits non-negotiable. Drinking water before coffee, moving their body every day, setting their intentions every morning, putting the phone down before bed. These things don't look impressive, but they are everything. They're the blueprint of self-respect, the foundation of mental strength. The problem is, we live in a world that worships intensity. Hustle hard, go big or go home. But intensity fades, it burns out. What actually wins is consistency, that quiet, steady pace that doesn't get applause, but gets results. Because when you stack those tiny habits, day after day, they turn into something unstoppable. You don't see the change at first. And that's where most people quit. They think nothing's happening, so they stop. But the truth is, everything is happening. The rewiring, the strengthening, the momentum. It's all building quietly, below the surface. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be relentless. You need to stop negotiating with yourself. Stop making deals with your excuses. Stop waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect time, the perfect situation. It doesn't exist. What does exist is choice. Every day, do you choose to show up or check out? Do you choose progress or comfort? Because every tiny habit is a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. And eventually, those votes add up. They shape your identity. They shift your reality. So ask yourself, what are your non-negotiables? What are the small things you do every day that no one sees, but that define who you are when no one's watching? Because those are the habits that build character, that build grit, that build a life. You don't need a miracle. You need to show up for the basics. And do it like your life depends on it, because it does. And here's the truth most people don't want to facing: you already know what to do. You're just not doing it long enough. You're quitting too soon. You're chasing the next thing before you've mastered the first thing. But mastery comes from repetition. You want mental toughness. Do the same small thing with excellence over and over until it becomes who you are. Not once. Not sometimes. Every time. That's where power is forged. In the fire of repetition, you want to feel proud of yourself. Then keep the promises you make when no one's looking. Get up when you say you will. Follow through when it gets boring. Push through when motivation disappears. That's when it counts. That's when you grow, because your habits are not just actions, they are declarations. They are you saying, this is who I am now, not tomorrow, not someday, now. And once you decide that, once you draw that line, you'll find out that the life you want doesn't come from one big move. It comes from 1,000 tiny ones, stacked in your favor, made with discipline, done with purpose. That's how tired becomes powerful. That's how ordinary becomes unshakable. That's how you rise. At some point, you have to stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to feel inspired. Stop waiting for someone to push you, validate you, or rescue you, because no one is coming. And if you keep waiting for life to get easier, for the timing to be perfect, for fear to disappear, you'll be waiting forever. You don't need another sign. You need discipline. Discipline is doing the thing, not because you feel like it, but because you promised yourself you would. It's choosing action over comfort, commitment over convenience, And that's where real power lies. Not in your feelings, but in your follow-through. People talk about motivation like it's everything. But motivation is inconsistent. It's unreliable. It comes and goes with your mood, your sleep, your environment. Discipline doesn't care about your mood. Discipline says, I show up anyway. It's the part of you that keeps moving forward even when no one's watching. Even when the reward isn't instant. Even when no one's clapping. That's the version of you that builds an unstoppable life. Because it's built on decisions, not emotions. Every choice you make, every moment you choose to act in alignment with your highest standard, it stacks. It creates momentum. And the more you do it, the more powerful you feel. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. You stop reacting and you start leading. That's the shift. When you stop asking, how do I feel about this? And start asking, what would the strongest version of me do right now? And then you do that without negotiation. It's easy to lead when everything is going your way. It's easy to feel strong when life is smooth. But what defines you is who you are when it's not. Who you are when it's hard. When you're tired. When the excuses sound convincing. When no one would blame you for quitting. That's when you either fold or forge. And what separates the powerful from the average isn't talent or luck. It's discipline under pressure. That quiet, gritty commitment to act with integrity no matter the storm. You need to remember that your life is a result of your standards. What you tolerate, what you allow, what you accept from yourself. If you're inconsistent with your own word, don't expect consistency in your results. If you're casual with your choices, you'll be casual with your growth. And you can't build an elite life on a foundation of weak habits. You either own your choices, or your choices own you. So what does ownership look like? It looks like eliminating excuses, holding yourself accountable when no one else will. It looks like pushing when you want to quit. Saying no, it would be easier to say yes. Showing up when it would be easier to stay small. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting, but it works. Because discipline builds trust with yourself, and that trust is what fuels real confidence. Not the fake kind that needs praise. The real kind that comes from knowing, I do what I say I'll do. And the thing is, once you start living that way, once you start acting in alignment with your highest standard, everything changes. People treat you differently. You carry yourself differently. You become the kind of person that others can't ignore. Because your presence isn't built on noise, it's built on credibility. Quiet, undeniable, unshakable credibility. And that's not something you buy. That's something you earn, every day through discipline. So if you want to change your life, stop waiting to feel ready. Stop depending on inspiration. And start choosing the hard, right thing over the easy, wrong one. That's the path. That's the work. That's the fire. You don't need to feel powerful to act powerfully. You just need to act. The feeling will follow. The life will follow. Because once you start owning your discipline, you stop being at the mercy of your circumstances, and you start creating your future on your terms. Relentlessly. Unapologetically, with everything you've got. So here it is. No drama, no magic, no overnight fix. Just you showing up differently. Just you taking your life back in the smallest, most powerful ways. Not because anyone's forcing you, not because the world clapped for you, but because you decided you're done living tired. Done living reactive. Done giving your peace, your energy, your power away to anything that doesn't align with who you're becoming. The shift you're looking for isn't outside of you. It's already there. It's in your choices. It's in your habits. It's in the way you wake up, speak to yourself, protect your time, and own your discipline. This isn't about becoming someone new. This is about remembering who you were before the world convinced you to play small. Now stand in it. Own it. Live it. One tiny fix at a time, because the life you want, it's not waiting, it's yours to build.